Have you ever read something so totally transfixing that it takes you about 3 days to return to reality and form cohesive sentences about the story? No? Just me? Well then, I read Sing Unburied Sing 3 days ago, and I am here to talk about it. So the story goes, Jojo and his little sister Kayla are on a road trip with their mother Leonie and her friend Misty, whose own sense of smell is her own arch nemesis. The teenager and the toddler probably have more sense than the two adults in the car combined, but alas, they are mere passengers on this journey to pick up their estranged father Michael, who is locked up at the Mississippi State Penitentiary. Of course, the road trip is a complete shit show because before they even leave, Mommy Dearest and Little Miss Sensitive Nostrils get high, and we learn that Mommy Dearest can see the ghost of her dead brother. On the ride up through the Mississippi Delta and through haunting flashbacks, we come to regard Leonie's lack of mothering sensibilities, Jojo's intense love and responsibility for his little sister, and that Mississippi is by far one of the most haunted places in America. So the story is told through multiple characters, namely Leonie and Jojo. And while the switching between characters didn't really disrupt this narrative for me, there were a lot of storylines and ghosts that were introduced pretty early on that made it a bit of a challenge to follow. However, about a third of the way through, the story really began to take shape in a way that swallowed my mind like a vacuum. I was a nervous wreck reading this book. I mean, I facepalmed so many times on the train and cafes that I probably looked like a Picard performing artist. But you know what? That's how I can tell that a book is going to stay with me for a really long time. I got so angry with Leonie, I was so worried about Kayla, and I just wanted to punch Misty right in the nose and tell her to have some compassion for the baby. Hey girl, she got a stomachache. But it was really about watching Jojo come into his own, especially in the midst of the male figures in his life, whether it was those on the side of the living or those buried in memory. And it was knowing that love was and will always protect him and pull him through that really drove this one home for me. And it does get rather graphic with scenes of violence that will rip right through you and moments of love that will just bring you to your knees. So you should definitely brace yourself for this read. It's so generously crafted. For instance, I most enjoyed the motif of drugs or herbal remedies that are cooked up throughout the novel, whether for medicinal or recreational purposes. It really speaks to how we heal, sedate, or escape the inflictions of life and how that affects our relationships with others and ourselves. And then it's balanced by the most tender portrayal of love through the character of Pops, who I will carry on in my spirit because his heart is just so pure. And what I most appreciate about the story is that I didn't feel compelled to forgive this one character in particular, even though I wanted to shake her on every page of the book. And while Jesmyn Ward allows you the space to understand and empathize with her, I was still allowed my feelings of overwhelming disappointment. But bless her heart anyway. The writing is fantastic, and before I realized that every sentence was a bristle of the aforementioned vacuum sweeping me into a whirlwind of this haunted entanglement of characters, I was finished with the book, emptied, paralyzed, speechless, with my heart in my throat. And so naturally, with that kind of reaction, I really love this book. If you haven't read Sing Unburied Sing, I think it goes without saying that I highly recommend it, but just be sure that you can stomach it because Jesmyn Ward packs a serious punch. And if you have read this novel, please leave comments down below. I would love to keep talking about it with you all. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember to read or be read. Talk to you later. Bye.